What's up, guys? So episode 1 of Loki dropped this past Wednesday on Disney Plus, and I gotta say, I loved it. Loki has always been a universal fan favorite MCU character, but I was curious to see how it would work to have him get all this time and focus in a TV series. I know Tom Hiddleston is a great actor, and there were probably like hella forums online way before Disney Plus was even an idea to give him a TV show or even a movie, but there is always that possibility that you could be running into, you know, the minion problem. You have a popular side character, the main focus in a feature-length film or a TV series, and they're just not able to handle all that time focused on themselves, and the audience quickly finds out that they're better off as a side character to begin with. But this episode seriously proves anything but that, and we go deeper into the God of Mischief than we ever would hope to, and it's absolutely amazing, guys. This episode questions destiny, free will, and of course, since we're talking about Loki, being burdened with glorious purpose and what that might look like. So I'm gonna go into the story of the episode, the things I disliked, the things I liked, and some of the questions I left with, and some of my predictions and speculations for the future of this series, any of the little things that I thought were interesting enough to talk about. But before we do any of that, make sure if you're trying to support your boy to smack the subscribe button, make sure to like the video and share if you'd be so kind. With all that shit out of the way, let's get right into this. So this episode starts off with a recap of events, so we understand why it's possible that we're seeing Loki after we saw him die in Infinity War. That Loki right there, the true Loki, the Loki that we've kind of grown up with, that Loki is dead. This is the Loki from Avengers Endgame, the Loki that gets the Tesseract and escapes with it, and this is his journey. We're finally finding out what this Loki is up to, and we find out that after Loki uses the Tesseract to get away, he is soon apprehended by the TVA, which, as they explain in the show pretty well, it's an organization that makes sure that the proper flow of time is upheld, so the multiverse doesn't go into madness and, you know, different universes start fighting and battling and total chaos won't ensue. So I'm guessing the TVA totally shits the bed because Doctor Strange 2 is coming out. So we know that already, and they better come out in Doctor Strange 2. I better see them, okay? I'm also very curious because of this little animation, like it alludes to something like this already have happened. So I'm curious if a Secret Wars is kind of coming down the line, you know, different universes kind of converging. I think that would be tight as fuck. Hopefully we'll get an explanation for all that stuff. One of the things that causes these mad flows of time to occur are these things called variants, which is basically a person, a being really, from any timeline that goes off the beaten path that the timekeepers deem, you know, unacceptable or not their path, and create an alternate flow of events. And that's when the TVA reset the timeline using those pruning grenades and basically dispose of the variant, as they have no longer a place in that timeline. So Loki is sent to trial to face up to the offense of escaping with the Tesseract, which was not in the timekeeper's plans. He pleads a great case. You know, he wouldn't have stolen the Tesseract and gotten away if it hadn't been for the Avengers actually meddling with time, not him, and doing what they did in Avengers Endgame. But according to the judge, which was a huge slap in the face to Loki, what the Avengers did was supposed to happen. So basically Loki just escapes because of what the Avengers did, and they actually fucked with time, and he didn't even mess with time, and he still gets blamed. This was a very good moment because this is the part of the episode where free will and destiny starts coming into play, starts creeping up on the story or in the story, especially when the judge tells Loki it's not your story, it never was, which really makes you think, because normally that would be something you'd enjoy somebody telling a villain, but because it's Loki, things will forever be more complex than just that. To be relegated as some kind of NPC character in the world, which the episode digs further into as Loki is found guilty and is going to be reset, which is basically he is going to be vanished. He is not going to exist, but he's saved by Mobius, Owen Wilson's character, who's kind of like the manager of some sorts. He's like the head of the department in the TVA that handles particularly dangerous variants. He shows Loki the TVA, and it's actually kind of beautiful, and Loki has seen some beautiful shit, okay? He has grown up in the realm eternal, so he's familiar with this shit, so that's a huge compliment. And he takes Loki to this kind of theater room where he questions him about his motives, if he enjoys killing and hurting people, and shows some parts of his life that he has experienced before and some parts that he hasn't just yet. Honestly, you wish every supervillain had a session with Mobius where he just picks apart their plans and shows them how ridiculous they are, and then he starts showing Loki stuff that he hasn't experienced before, the stuff from the other universe, which is basically stuff like what happens to him after 2012, after Avengers, where he gets taken to Asgard and is basically held in the prisons, and then in in Thor: The Dark World where Frigga dies, you know, his mother, and then also that kind of being his fault. And this hits Loki to the absolute core, okay? You don't bring the dude's mother into this, okay? Because he's gonna start feeling all types of ways, okay? That just is what it is, even Loki. And honestly, if you have any type of soul at all, you have to feel for this guy, because he has these plans for his life to be great, to be some kind of ruler, and to liberate people from the illusions of freedom. And when he finds out some greater force in the universe is actually kind of doing the same thing to him, that in the timeline his purpose will forever be fixed to being evil, to bring pain, to kill people, to bring about death, and to lose so others might realize the greatest versions of themselves. I think that really causes him to sit and think about his life and his so-called glorious purpose, which I absolutely love. We've all felt at some point or another that we had this greater force that has been plotting against us. When life wasn't going according to our plans, we at one point all thought that maybe we were just born to lose. I think at some point or another, everyone has felt that way to varying degrees. That's something that I think a lot of people can relate to, and maybe some of us are still feeling that, but life goes on and tomorrow is another chance. Hope everyone is doing well, by the way. Loki is then able to sneak away Mobius's time ticker, and he uses it to dismantle B-15, puts her through some hell, and he basically is going around the TVA trying to look for the Tesseract, which he does with the help of Casey, the Giga Chad Casey, who doesn't know what a fish is. Shout out to Casey. And he actually does find the Tesseract along with the treasure trove of Infinity Stones, okay? Somewhere in the multiverse, Thanos just went from 12 to midnight, basically, and it's a drawer full of them, and that's when Loki realizes that, oh, the Tesseract and all of these things don't mean shit here. None of them work. And seeing all those Infinity Stones in that drawer makes me think that since all of these Infinity Stones are coming through to the TVA, like Casey said, that people all across the multiverse are using the Infinity Stones for nefarious purposes. Of course, that's kind of what they're made for, but still, like, it's so crazy that these people are getting caught and this shit is happening, like, damn. And maybe there'll be some kind of explanation as to who these people that were using the Infinity Stones were. Maybe we'll get some revelations. Maybe Howard the Duck in some crazy universe was using the Infinity Stones to take over the multiverse. We do not know, but I hope we get some kind of explanation for that. And that's basically when Loki kind of gives up. There's no place for him in the timeline. His magic and the Infinity Stones don't work, so he's willing to cooperate with Mobius and accepts his role as a perennial villain, which Mobius disagrees with. He somehow sees something in Loki, some way he could be more than what Destiny has set up for him to be, and thus recruits Loki to stop a variant who's been wreaking havoc on the timeline, which also is revealed to be Loki as well, himself. And the episode ends with us seeing what we believe to be that Loki killing Minutemen. Great cinematography, by the way. So that sets up the rest of the series, the remaining 5 episodes, to be a search for this alternate Loki, which we know will be Lady Loki, played by Sophia Di Martino, which is pretty fitting because as far as I can remember when Lady Loki was introduced. What's up, guys? I have the aux on right now because my contacts are fucking going crazy. It feels like somebody poured fucking hot sauce in my eye. Mephisto's in my eye, guys. I don't know what you want me to do. That's why I put on the aux right now, and I gotta have them on because that's what I'm gonna do to finish this video. No other time in the week I can record this video, but right now, that's the short pause. So just so you know, that's why Mephisto is literally in my eye. And this should be a lesson to not wait till you have only one pair of contacts left before you order some new ones. That's the lesson for today. This is actually pretty fitting because I remember one of the first big stories with Lady Loki, one of her own personal stories was of her actually going back in time and changing events. More specifically from Loki's origin. I mean, she actually turns Bor into Snow, Odin's father, and then brings him back at a later time, and Thor and him fight, and it was just crazy wild. Except in the comics, Loki is actually inhabiting Sif's, and Sif, I believe, is in the body of some old lady in the hospital, not just Loki transformed. So I'm guessing Lady Loki, the one that we meet, will just be a Loki from another timeline who just so happened to be born female. But it should be interesting nonetheless. Now let's get into some of the things that I disliked real quick, because there's not really a lot of things that I disliked, okay? Because this show was very great, but if I had to critique this show on anything, it would be that the beginning was a little bit slow and it was very exposition heavy. I think that might have just been due to how much exposition they had to have happen because of the big world that they're trying to set up and the concepts that are just ginormous, okay? They're talking about basically all of space-time in the multiverse. You know, there's a lot of things that they have to get to and try to convey to the audience, so completely understand. Not a real criticism, but if I had to judge a show off of anything, like if I had to pick one thing, that would be it. So we're all finished with that. that, let's get the darkness out of the way, of course, and let's talk about the things that I actually liked about the show. And first one being that Goldman Sachs Loki light dude from the beginning that refused to get a ticket, and then the guard is questioning him and asking him for his ticket, and he's like, oh, I tried to get a ticket and they didn't let me, I don't know. And then he starts fucking talking shit to the guard and he gets fucking erased. I love that, okay? That was fucking hilarious. On this channel, for this specific moment, we stand a piece of shit. Let's go. The Animate Sequence was also great. It was actually pretty good at explaining everything. The use and representation of time is actually really dope. Like the pruning grenades, that stick that slows time and moments down when, you know, hitting somebody. The time tickers were also very cool as well. The sets also were very nice, and the lighting for this show, at least for the first episode, looks awesome, and I think it'll continue to get better. I mean, the MCU Disney Plus shows have been well lit. The DB Cooper reference. Now, I am not big into DB Cooper at all, but I have seen a movie called Without a Paddle. Maybe you guys have seen it. If not, I highly recommend it. It has some type of DB Cooper element in it, I remember. Very great movie. It also has the legendary Anthony Starr, which I had no idea until, you know, I got older. I grew up after seeing the movie as a kid, and then I watched The Boys, and I was like, oh shit, the guy who plays Homelander, he's actually really great. I wonder what else he's been in. And then I find out that he was in that movie, and it's like he's been a part of my childhood all along, and I did not even know. I love how Mobius grills Loki about his motives, and we get to go deeper into the character of Loki than we ever have before. It really gave me Loki 2004 vibes, which was this mini series, and it was actually drawn by Asad Ribic, who, if you don't know, that should be the most compelling reason to go back and read these books, because his art is just like amazing. Like it's outstanding. Okay, I think he did King Thor not too long ago. It was great. He's done other stuff, but that's the thing that I can remember. But in this book, Loki is actually king of Asgard, and he's ruling with a very fucking tight fist. He basically has everybody under his thumb in Asgard. Everybody is on a very tight leash. And in the book, if I can remember correctly, somebody shows Loki like his future and multiple other futures. What happens is he finds out that in each future, Loki is vanquished and Thor is victorious. So in each future that he is seeing, he loses. As well, in the MCU, we know that Odin's reasons for getting Loki from that battlefield and taking him to Asgard and raising him as his own was so that Loki could eventually be, you know, a bridge of people to end needless wars and stuff. But in this series, Loki goes and confronts Odin and actually believes that Odin got him just so he could put something next to Thor that would make Thor look even better than Thor was. So that's basically what he did. You know, he did that thing where a group of the chicks, the ugly chick gets the even uglier chicks to go around her and it makes her look hotter. That's basically what Loki believes Odin has done, but with his sons. Something to bolster up Thor. And in the show, that's basically what Mobius is telling Loki. So I really liked that. I thought that was a very good, I guess, example of the source material kind of being used. The Infinity Stones having no power in the TVA is also, I think, something that was great. These things that were heavily sought after, that were capable of great destruction, were rendered fucking inert in this weird null space-time dimension. It's so damn crazy and awesome, in my opinion. We're gonna take off the aux. We're gonna take off the aux and try to finish this video out fucking strong, hopefully. Owen Wilson is charming as ever as Mobius, and Tom Hiddleston, he does his thing as Loki. This episode set a pretty high bar for the series, in my opinion, and I'm curious to see if they can continue doing this for the rest of the series. I mean, it's only 5 more episodes, but if they can continuously go up in quality each episode, I'll be very happy and very surprised, because I think they set such a high bar. But, you know, who knows? So I'm hoping we're not all disappointed by the end like with WandaVision, but that, you know, had some other shit going on with it, of course. And I have to address this. Yes, we did see a double figure in there, and, you know, at another time, at another point in time, I would have said that 100% Mephisto is coming. That's just what it is. This is science. Don't argue with science. But we already know that Mephisto is basically white whale. It's never gonna happen, really. Too many showrunners saying they don't even know who the fuck Mephisto is. Let's not get our hopes up for Mephisto, guys. If anything, that's just a nod to Loki, you know, his horned crown, and Loki being an actual kind of devil character in his own right in Asgardian lore. As far as predictions for this show, I don't have many, but I do think that Lady Loki is going to be privy to the same information that Loki was in the TVA, where she basically is told that, you know, in every possible timeline, you will lose. You're never going to win. You're a born loser. That's your place, to lose so other people can realize the best versions of themselves. And I think she's not going to take this well, and she's going to be continuing to do what she's been doing, which is causing chaos. And hopefully when Loki does eventually meet up with her, he can get her to see something better, something that maybe he'll find out throughout the series for himself. Because I think in one of the later episodes, Loki will be tempted and he'll fall into his temptation, you know, the god of mischief, and he'll say fuck it, and he'll go into one of these timelines and do what he wants, which is win, and that'll cause some great crazy chain reaction that he is not looking forward to. And I think he'll understand by the end of the series that, you know, maybe this is my purpose, maybe this whole thing is actually, you know, glorious, and he'll find a new space where he can put that, like, I guess, mark on. Maybe this kind of end for me, maybe it is glorious, this is the purpose I serve, it's glorious to me, something like that. I think something of that nature will happen, and he'll share that kind of wisdom with Lady Loki, and he'll probably realize that ruling is overrated. That's what I'm thinking. Overall, this was a great episode that I thoroughly enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of the video, of course, and the episode. Let me know all your guys' predictions. I'd really like to know what you guys think this series is going to lead to. And that is it. My eye is killing me. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want to subscribe, I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.